Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. The end of a very long watering session. I found a few new spikes and sort of things like that and buds and stuff, but because I can't really film very well with the camera tied onto the flipping lead, I didn't film them today. Unfortunately, the bad news is my batteries have arrived and determined that it's the charging unit on board on the camera that's at fault. My charger unit that connects to the camera works okay because it drives the camera with no battery installed, so that bit's working okay. But unfortunately Canon, in their infinite wisdom, decided to have an onboard charger rather than a separate charger like most units do. And unfortunately, trying to get hold of a separate charger is not funny. You just can't get hold of them. So, sorry Archie, but I've got a cheap unit coming from China. It's the only one I could find that will charge these types of batteries as a separate unit. So I've now got to wait for that. But a few things I found that I can get at. The two new batteries, one of them had some charge in it, which is what I'm using now, and there's about 20 minutes left, so I better be quick. The Tulumnia branch, that's Tulumnia Peach, has just opened, so that's going to have a few blooms for a while, and then the spike will have to come off. It's not going to branch again. But yeah, so I've got a singular Tulumnia bloom. What else? This has opened. Now this is good stuff. This is my Phalaenopsis Sweet Memory. Now, from memory, this is highly fragrant, but it's newly opened. It's got another couple of buds. This one should open soon, and then that one a bit later. But it looks like it's only going to have 3, but the spike looks like it might extend. It's got that bit sticking out at the top that has all the hallmarks of possibly extending, maybe at a later date. But yeah, that was about it. I mean, this one I showed first thing this morning, but a second bloom has opened on that spike during the day while I've been busying away. But as I said, there were a few spikes and buds lurking, which I'll get those at another time. I mean, I still haven't even finished yet. I've still got my Vandas to finish off. So it's been a very long day catching up on the watering. But having watered absolutely everything today, there will be very little left to do tomorrow, which means I can have a flipping rest and get some other bits and bobs done. But yeah, I mean, it's just been one of those days, a busy day. If you go back and have a look at this Brassia when it first opened, the coloration on it was a sort of pale creamy colour with hints of green. Look at the depth of colour now the blooms are aging. I hope that doesn't mean they're going to disappear soon, because they won't have lasted long if they do. But that, you know, there's a real depth of yellow on those petals and sepals now that wasn't there when they first opened. And even the lip that was almost white has got a lovely pale tinge of yellowy green to it. So I'm well pleased with that plant. I mean, that is a good bloom. Now that one is out of place. It's in with the yellows. Yellows and pinks don't normally go together. Unless, of course, it's Miltonia Sunset, this one. And that's my only excuse for putting that colour next to all the yellows, is it merges the colours on this one across to that one. That's a feeble excuse, isn't it? As I said, I noticed some buds. Can I get at any of them? I can just about get to that one. That's going to open soon. That's Prosthetia something or other. I've forgotten. I'll put a pop up. But that hasn't bloomed for a very long time. Bad attack of scale, and did not like being on a mount, being effectively bare rooted. It just wasn't getting hydrated enough. But since I sort of split it and put it into 2 pots, and can now keep the roots hydrated, the new growths are pushing on a lot quicker than they were before. So not too bad. I've still got some nobly blooms out up the back here, lurking in the fog. they're late. My Nobly hybrids often do that. They have their initial flush, and then a couple of months later they just throw out a few more. So I mean, it's a nice little splash of colour, you know, all additional sort of bits to the sea of green. This one's I can get at this one. This is a Latoria. There's 2 spikes on that growth, yeah, and they're pushing on nicely now. So I am really looking forward to those. I mean, I love the look of the Latoria blooms, but unfortunately I just haven't had any yet because they're all new plants. Apart from, where's he gone? Where did I put him? I've lost it. I've lost one. It's lost. Where did I? Oh, there it is. I put it where I can see it. How silly. That's the only Latoria bloom I've really had, and that's been out a couple of months already. And the other new growth that's pushing on has got signs that it's going to bloom. So maybe I'll have a follow-on to that one. But I just love the shape of the Latorias. They're not your standard dendrobium. And I like the plant in as much as you don't have to fuss with resting and mucking about with all that cobblers. All you've got to do is just keep them hydrated. You know, they're continuous growers. Now, they're going to slow down in my winter with the short days and everything. But, I mean, I'm treating those effectively like a Dendrobium phalaenopsis. It gets to almost dry and then it gets a good soaking. So it stays moist. And in the winter time, I'll probably let them dry off before I water them. And in the cooler temperatures and shorter days, that could take a couple of weeks to get to that point of watering again. But I won't know till I get till this winter, which will be my first winter with the Latorias. So, oh, by the way, this got a nickname Donald, and I'm going to admit to a failing. I don't see it. So can somebody explain where the nickname Donald came from, or was it just a random name? But anyway, somebody has named the new one Daisy. So I'm quite happy with that. You know, so we've got Daisy and Donald. I'm not having nicknames for everything. I won't remember them anyway. But a neglected set of blooms. Prosthetia radiata. I keep forgetting just how nice these blooms are. They're not large, very fragrant. It's one of those fragrances that some people probably wouldn't like. I remember that one. God, I'm getting fogged here. I can deal with that one. Get off. I took this to the New Forest show last year. It was in bloom, and we had a little set of blooms near the front of the stand for people to go and sniff. And we had a bulbophyllum in there. Yeah, you guessed it. We had people rearing back, saying things like, it smells like shit. Yeah, it does. It attracts its pollinators. It has a purpose. But this had a mixed reaction. Quite a few people loved it. It's got a honey sort of scent. Sweet, almost sickly honey type of scent with a tang. There's just a little tang in there that some people pick up on and don't actually like. Now, I love it. I think it's great. It's what attracted me to the plant in the first place at Burnham's. It was in their showcase place, and there were several of the specimen plants just dotted around. And this fragrance kept following me around, and it took me ages to tie it down to an individual plant. Because when it wafts around generally in the moving air, it's got a certain fragrance. But when you get close to the plant and stick your nose in it, it's different. It changes, and that little tang comes out. So this is one that's better sniffed at a distance. You get too close, depending on your sensitivities to fragrance. We all detect fragrances in a different manner. I mean, some people swear blind that Shari Baby smells of vanilla. And some swear blind it smells of chocolate. Some say chocolate vanilla. Or vanilla chocolate. Whichever. To me, it smells of chocolate. But some people genuinely think it's more like a vanilla scent. So we all see it and all smell it differently. But this one's got a little edge to it if you get too close, so it pays to keep your distance. Okay, before this battery runs out, I've got 2 minutes left. Thanks for dropping by, see you next time.